A number of people have commented recently about the fact that I've been very quiet about the general election. I've not posted anything on my social media about it. I've not said anything in my email newsletter about it. And quite a few people find that quite strange, as that I'm not normally the kind of person who is shy in expressing my opinions publicly. Now, there is nothing sinister in that, but there is a very simple explanation, and that is that, first of all, this time of year is my busiest time of year at work, but also I've had a very personal family matter that I've had to attend to in Manchester, and all of that has taken up pretty much all of my time. The other thing, of course, is that Rishi Sunak called a general election, which was a surprise to everybody. But even more so locally, the Conservative MP, Michael Gove, dropped out at very short notice, literally just as the general election had been called. So the local Conservative Association had to select a new candidate. Now, I'm not the kind of person who will blindly put my support behind a candidate just because they belong to the same party as I do. But now that I've had chance to get to know the Conservative candidate, that's Ed McGuinness, the Conservative candidate for Surrey Heath constituency. I've got to know Ed, I've got to know what makes him tick, and I've seen him in action as well, and I am now not only pleased but proud to support Ed McGuinness as the Conservative candidate in Surrey Heath, and I will be throwing all my support behind Ed McGuinness. Now, there's a couple of things that you might not know about Ed, and I wanted to explain those on my video, because I took the time to have a breakfast with Ed at the Eat Well Cafe in Mitchett, and we had a really good chat about what makes him tick. And I asked him, why does he want to be an MP? And the answer to my mind was very impressive, in that he comes from Northern Ireland, he grew up in the Troubles in Northern Ireland, and he has seen firsthand what good politics can do to resolve some very serious issues, and there aren't many issues that were more complicated than the Northern Ireland Troubles and so on. So that was really impressive to me, that, you know, he was inspired to get involved in politics on something as serious as the Troubles. But the other thing that impressed me about Ed was that he understands about the need for change. Now, I know that the Labour Party have said that that's their slogan for their election campaign, but the fact of the matter is there are quite a lot of Conservatives, myself included, and Ed as well, that recognise that there is need for change, and that there are some elements of, first of all, the Conservative Party, but also politics in general, that are broken and need fixing. And I think that in order to fix those things, we need fresh pairs of eyes like Ed McGuinness in Parliament to try and affect those changes, because you can only really change things from the inside. But there is also a selfish reason why I want to support Ed McGuinness, and that is, as a local councillor, and I think that I would like to think that the vast majority of the community that I represent recognises that I work very hard on behalf of the community, that my heart is in the right place, and that I do it for the right reasons. And, you know, there are some very complicated local issues that I try to fix, but quite often I can't do that on my own. And regardless of what your thoughts were about Michael Gove, and I know that, you know, there are some people who love him and there are some people that hate him, but one thing is for sure, that as a local Conservative councillor, I would not have been able to fix a lot of the things that I've fixed without the help of Michael Gove. The fact is, though, that there are a lot of issues that we can't talk about. You know, I can't just post some things on my social media. Successes that we've had quite often are involving individual bits of casework that, you know, I just can't publicise, and neither can Michael, for various reasons, safeguarding being one of them. But I think it's fair to say, though, that, you know, teamwork is important when it comes to local councillors and members of Parliament. They work as a team together, and unfortunately, the Lib Dems, or I should say the vast majority of the Lib Dems, including their parliamentary candidate, has made it very clear that they're not prepared to work with me. And that's very disappointing. But the thing is that Ed McGuinness is prepared to work with me on behalf of local residents and for the benefit of local residents. And that is another reason why I'm throwing my support behind Ed McGuinness. And I hope that local residents will vote for Ed in order that he and I, certainly in respect of Mitchett, Frimley Green and Deepcut, can work together for the benefit of local residents. Now, I've said before, and I'll say again, that I am not an expert on national political matters. I've always focused on local matters, and as a local councillor, that's what I should do. But I will comment on a few national matters that absolutely terrify me should a Labour government get in. And, you know, I am a realist. It is looking likely that a Labour government is going to get in, but what should terrify us all is if they get in with a supermajority, which will mean that there'll be no effective opposition to hold them to account on some of the decisions that they might make. One of those decisions, which I think should concern all residents in Surrey Heath, is that they have made very clear in the media over the last couple of days that should they get into government, within the first couple of weeks, they will make major policy announcements on house building and planning. And that terrifies me because in Surrey Heath, we are in quite a unique situation because we're surrounded by special protection areas and sites of scientific interest. It means that we have a lot less land available to build on. And I think that the Labour Party will allow building on the green belt, and that should terrify us all. And the thing is that if you vote for a Liberal Democrat MP, if you look at what Liberal Democrats have done in the rest of the county, so let's take Mole Valley as a good example, the Liberal Democrat administration at the council there has been building on the green belt, more so than ever. They've only actually built in the last couple of years 20 odd affordable homes in Mole Valley. So I personally don't think that the Liberal Democrats can be trusted when it comes to planning and housing. And they have formed, certainly in Surrey Heath, I mean, they've only been in since May, and they've already done some very questionable things. For instance, they've put up car parking charges and removed the free period that I fought bitterly for to keep, which was the hour free period. If you remember, we had 2 hours free. The Conservative administration wanted to do away with that completely. I fought bitterly against my own Conservative group to keep that free period, and we compromised on an hour instead of 2 hours. And unfortunately, the Liberal Democrats, so at the time, they were up in arms about the reduction of the free period and the increase in parking charges. Yet the moment they got in at Surrey Heath, not only did they put up car parking charges, but they completely did away with the free period, which typically hypocritical Lib Dems. And that is why I am terrified of a Liberal Democrat MP in Surrey Heath, and that is why I think you should vote for Ed McGuinness. I just want to talk a little bit as well about the Reform Party. Now, I know in the community there are a lot of disgruntled Conservatives, so people who have always voted Conservative, but in this election are considering voting for Reform. And I understand why that is. I understand why they're disgruntled. In fact, I consider myself a bit of a disgruntled Conservative myself. But I just want to say that if you vote for Reform in Surrey Heath, you will get a Liberal Democrat. And the Liberal Democrats are the polar opposite of what you would want in your Reform UK candidate or MP. So please think very carefully about voting for reform, because they're not going to win in Surrey Heath. They can't win in Surrey Heath. But what you will do if you vote for reform is open the doors wide for the Liberal Democrats, and a Liberal Democrat MP, as I've said, would be the polar opposite of what you would want in a Reform UK MP. Just wanted to talk a little bit about Ed's professional career. Ed was a former member of the British Army. He was an officer in the British Army, and as such graduated from Sandhurst Military Academy, which we all know is the best military education in the world. Ed also, as part of his service in the British Army, served in a number of theatres of war. So service of this country runs through his DNA. And I think that will be a fantastic help at that experience in serving in Parliament and serving his constituents in Surrey Heath. Ed McGuinness is going to be getting married in July, and as we all know, and I know from experience, that behind every good man is a good woman, and Ed has confirmed that it is his intention with his new wife to purchase a property here in Surrey Heath, and so will live in the constituency. And I know that is quite important to a lot of constituents. That came up in the past when Michael was MP here, and that the constituents would like their MP to live in the constituency, and Ed has confirmed that will be the case. Now, if you have any doubts whatsoever about who you are going to vote for on polling day, and you know it is being widely reported in the media that there is a lot of undecideds, and if you are one of those undecideds, I would suggest that you make contact with Ed McGuinness and let him set his stall in terms of why he should be your next MP for Surrey Heath. And I will overlay his contact details on this video and in the description of the video. Do make contact with Ed. I know he will want to hear from you.